We are one game away, folks. One game away. The Detroit Lions are one game away from doing what many people thought to be the impossible, and we're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned.
We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes! Caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions, and
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in right now. But before we dive on in, I just want to say to everybody that's coming back to my show, my loyal fans and subscribers, thank you all for tuning in once more. Thank you all for your patronage, your support. Thank you for everything that you do. It absolutely means the world to me that I have such loyal fans and subscribers. And to those that are tuning into my show for the very first time, I just want to say thank you all for giving my show a shot. Thank you all for everything that you do as well. Hope you all enjoy the content, but even more so, I hope to gain your subscription if I've earned and deserved it. And with that being said, to everybody, I just want to say God bless. Hope you all having a great day, which if you're a Lions fan, you're definitely having a great day. And with that, let's dive into the content. So here's the thing, folks. This season, call it what you want. A dream season, an epic season, unbelievable, just whatever term you'd like to use. This is a season where the Lions have really done a lot to defy expectations, have done a lot to rewrite the narrative, reset it, and the Lions have just continued to impress and surprise the NFL with their stellar play. Like, this is a season where the Lions have just done a whole lot of changing narratives, changing minds, changing hearts, and it's been a fun season to watch. It's been a fun season to partake in as a Lions fan. And you have to think about some of the things that have gone on in this season and what this second straight playoff victory really, really embodies, encapsulates for this Lions franchise and the Lions team right now. First and foremost, let's first understand this. I said second straight playoff win. That in and of itself is impressive, is just downright impressive, because you have to think about it. The last time that the Lions won two straight playoff games was in 1957, folks. 1957, not in the 90s. 57. The Lions have not won two straight playoff games in almost damn near 100 years. It's a little bit away, but you get my whole drift here. It's been a long damn time. Because you have to think about it. 1957, that was the Lions' last championship season. That's a long time, folks. So think about it, how impressive that is for the Lions right now. Winning two straight playoff victories in this year alone, something that has not been done since 1957. Very, very impressive. Very historical for this Lions franchise right now. So that's there first and foremost. Second, think about this. This is also the first time since 1991 that the Lions are going to be going back to the NFC Championship game. And to further expand upon that process, that thought, and that whole thing that I'm trying to say there, it's the second time in the Lions' Super Bowl era history, so ever since the Super Bowl became a factor for the NFL, second time in Super Bowl era of the NFL that the Lions have gone to the championship game. That is historical right there. That is also damn near unprecedented for the Lions. It took 32 years from their first time they showed up in the championship game to their second time. That's a long time, folks. And then you add everything else that's been going on this year. First playoff victory since 1991. First division win since 1993. This is a season of firsts almost. Like, this is an unprecedented epic season, which is why I have the title where I started off talking about this being an epic season for the Lions. And like I said, it's encapsulated, it's embodied with the fact that the Lions have won their second straight playoff victory. But you have to think about it and take it even further than that, because I'm telling you this right now. We can talk about how this is the first time that the Lions have done this since XY date. We can talk about how this is the first time the Lions have accomplished this since XY time. And those are all great talking points. But what you really have to take into consideration is how the Lions have continued to show their true grit. How gritty, how tough, how resilient, how resolute they are, and how they've able to overcome every single what's the word I'm looking for here? Every single sort of challenge that has been thrown their way. And they've overcome almost all of them up to this point. And with that, you have to start taking a look at some of the most important people to this team and this organization. And for that, you've got to start at the very top. You've got to go to Sheila. Because you got to think about it. What did Sheila had to overcome when she became the new owner of the Lions? She had to overcome part and parcel her name. And I know there are some fans that aren't going to want to hear this, but let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be truthful here. The fans were not very very loving, heartwarming towards the Ford family because they thought the Fords didn't care. They thought that the Fords never wanted to win with the Lions. They were just interested in making money. They were more interested in the Ford Motor Company. And that was the same thought process that was with William Clay Ford, rest in peace. It was the same thought process with Sheila's mother, Martha. Sheila came into the situation and she had to find a way to completely reverse that trend, completely reverse that thought process. And Sheila did a great job because she was like, listen, I'm not going to go down that same path. She was like, listen, I'm going to do whatever I can to ensure that this team is successful. And what did she do? She went straight to the people that knew football the best. She went to Barry Sanders. She went to Chris Spielman. She's like, listen, I'm not going to try and tell you guys how to run this team, but I want you guys to tell me what I should be looking for. What is the best way for this team to grow and to be successful? And she ran with it, and she was beautiful in understanding, listen, what her role was as an owner. Her role was not to control the team. Her role was to be a part of the team and to make sure to be like, listen, I'm going to support the team in any possible way I can. And that's exactly what she did. That's why when she made the decisions to sign Dan Campbell and to sign Brad Holmes to those contracts, to hire them, those were brilliant decisions because she listened to the people who knew football the best. So she's first and foremost, because you got to start at the top. The next person in that ladder, the next rung in that ladder, is Brad Holmes. Now, why is Brad Holmes part of this? Well, it's not because of what happened in the beginning. It's what happened earlier this year. Because again, the first two drafts that Brad Holmes was a part of, he was literally praised almost universally by everybody. Because almost everybody universally thought his first two drafts were like top-notch, A-plus drafts. But this last draft, in this offseason, Brad Holmes was questioned, was given a lot of flack about certain draft decisions. The fact of drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, a running back in the first round, that received a lot of flack. The fact that for the third year in a row, the Lions didn't draft a quarterback in the first two rounds. They did draft one in the third round, but nobody thought that Hendon Hooker was going to play because, well, he was coming off of an ACL injury. And again, the talk had been that the Lions were looking to extend Jared Goff. So once again, Brad Holmes said that, listen, Jared Goff's our guy. So again, Brad Holmes, again, completely defied conventional wisdom there. Then drafted another high tight end at the very bottom of the first round, top of the second round. Something that a lot of Lions fans were not very comfortable with because of all the past history of tight ends. TJ Hawkinson, Eric Ebron, Brandon Pettigrew, list goes on. And then finally, there were some people in the local media, particularly Woodward Sports, particularly Braylon Edwards, who were not very happy about drafting Jack Campbell in the first round. They thought that pick could have been used elsewhere, like drafting a quarterback, like going after a cornerback, not a linebacker. So again, Brad Holmes this last offseason, he took a lot of flack for that draft class, but yet think about it. That draft class that he put together this last offseason has completely changed and propelled the Lions to where they are right now. We do not win the 12 games that we have without those rookies, like Sam Laporta, like Jahmyr Gibbs, like Jack Campbell, like Brian Branch. We do not win those games without those rookies. We don't win our playoff games without those rookies. That's how important these rookies have been. That's how much they've changed the Lions. And it once again shows that Brad Holmes knew what the hell he was doing. And in my honest opinion, is the greatest GM that the Lions have ever had. So that's number 2. But then number 3, Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has had a lot of fire thrown his way, sometimes by fans, sometimes by the analysts, the local media analysts and the national media ones. Because that first season, he was getting called to be fired by some people. They were like, listen, he's all about bravado, but he doesn't understand football. How many times did we hear that people said, you know what, Dan Campbell's just a meathead. He doesn't understand X's and O's. He's not that smart. He's just all about motivation. But yet, how many times in response to that did we hear the players say, no, Dan Campbell's actually really smart. He understands X's and O's. It's just, he's not going to talk coach speak to you. He's like, listen, I'm here to talk very plainly. I'm here to talk down to where everybody can understand what I'm trying to tell them. I'm not trying to be the most intelligent guy in the room. I'm trying to reach you, and I'm trying to motivate you. And that is something that Dan Campbell does really well. It's like, listen, in times past, the Lions hired, supposedly, the smartest guys. We hired the Jim Caldwells. We hired the Steve Mariucci's. We hired the Rod Marinellis, who are supposedly, and the Matt Patricias, who are supposedly the defensive gurus or the offensive gurus. Didn't really work out too much for us. But when we hired a guy that understood what it was like to be a player, who was a motivational guru, man, oh man, did it ever work. We went from 3-13-1 to 9-8 to 12-5, and now here we are in the NFC Championship game. I would say that process, that methodology worked a hell of a lot better than getting the smartest person to lead us. Just saying. So Dan Campbell had to overcome a lot of flack because people thought he was stupid, didn't think he understood football, and thought he was just a joke. I guarantee you ain't nobody laughing now. So there's that. Now we get to the next person in this whole thing. Jared Goff. I'm going to tell you this right now. There have been some other people that have been Goff fans. Some people would call them Goff lovers, Goff fanatics, whatever. But I will take and I will hold my banner proudly. I am the original Goff defender. I am the number one Goff defender. And I carry that badge with honor. Because I will tell you this right now. When Jared Goff got here, almost nobody wanted to defend him. Everybody wanted to go with the exact same national media outlet and narrative that everybody had been pushing out for weeks and weeks and months, which was Goff was mediocre. He was a bridge quarterback. He's just a throw-in for the Lions trade, or he's a salary cap dump for the Rams so that way they can get Stafford. All of the stupid, ridiculous narratives and lazy narratives that I had talked about and then Brad Holmes reinforced years later after I had already said them. I'm not saying Brad Holmes stole what I said. I'm just saying Brad Holmes reinforced what I said because I already knew that to be the truth because I listened to what Brad Holmes said the very first time that Jared Goff came to Detroit. What did Brad Holmes say about Jared Goff? He said Jared Goff's not a bridge quarterback. But nobody was really listening to that because all they wanted was Jared Goff to be gone and the Lions could go out and get that next new shiny quarterback, that next new shiny toy. Well, I'm going to tell you this right now, folks. Over the last 3 years, most of the rookie quarterbacks that have been drafted have not really done all that well. The only exception to that rule might be C.J. Stroud, and he's only been in his rookie year right now. So it's like, listen, I got to kind of wait and see what's going to happen here. But it's like, listen, Brad Holmes knew exactly what he was doing when he got Jared Goff. He needed a veteran quarterback who understood what it was like to take a team through a rebuild because, let's see, Goff took the California Bears program in college through a rebuild, got them to be successful again. Then he took the LA Rams through a rebuild and got them to be successful again. In fact, if you think about it, Jared Goff is one of a few or maybe only two quarterbacks that has been able to get a team to winning a playoff game after a drought of, 15 or so years? He might be the only one for all I know. But I know I've seen that caption somewhere, and if I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen. But that's what Goff provided. That's what Goff was. But yet nobody wanted to hear that in the beginning. But yet, what has Goff done over the last 2 years? He's won more games in the regular season than any quarterback for the Lions in 2 straight years. He's won more playoff games than any Lions quarterback since 1957. So it's like, listen, say what you want about Jared Goff, but Jared Goff had to endure all of the freaking hate and all the freaking criticism from the national and local media pundits. And yet now, what is going on? Fans are chanting his name at the stadium. His teammates are chanting his name in the locker room. And it's like, listen, all the haters, like Easy from Woodward Sports, Spencer from Woodward Sports, Chris Sims, and, Dan Orlowski, they're having to shut up. They're having to eat their crow because they can't say what they want to say anymore. They have to go with the fact that, Jared Goff has won. And Jared Goff has done something that no quarterback for the Lions has done since 1957. Pretty impressive. Now, That's just looking at all the things that have made this an epic season. But now let's kind of talk about what the Lions have next. The Lions are on their way to their championship game. An NFC championship game, the first time since 91, and only the second time in the Super Bowl era. Like I said, other than the Ravens, this is by far the Lions' biggest test that they have faced all year, the San Francisco 49ers. This is going to be a big, big test for the Lions because, listen, you're traveling across country to go play the 49ers in Levi Stadium. That's a pretty big test. But I'm going to say this right now. I think the Lions are ready for the test. I'm not saying that they're going to destroy the 49ers. Don't get me wrong there. I'm just saying they're ready for the test. Think about it. How many times have the Lions played primetime games this year? Think about it. Kansas City, Green Bay, twice actually if you consider Thanksgiving as well. The Raiders, the Cowboys, the Broncos, and then both of their playoff games against the Bucs and the Rams. And the Lions have won all but 2 of those. So the Lions are pretty well battle-tested when it comes to winning in primetime games, winning under the big lights against the big dogs. They know what it's like. So every single one of those primetime games have been tests that have prepared them for this ultimate test that's coming up against the 49ers. And I think they will be able to handle it well. I'm not saying that they will for sure win, but I think they can win. I think that they can go into San Francisco at Levi Stadium and they can give the 49ers a run for their money. So for me, this season is not only an epic season or magical season, whatever term you want to call it, but it's also a different season than anything the Lions have done. Because again, think about it. Lions haven't won a division crown, like I said, up until this year, which was 30 years in the making. First playoff victory in 32 years. Second time since 1991 that the Lions have gotten to the championship game. And the third time of all time that the Lions have played in the entirety of their games that they've won 2 straight playoff games in a season. Because the only other time they did it outside of 1957 was 1952. So 52, 57, and 2023 are the only seasons in Lions history where they've won 2 straight playoff games. And think about this, folks. If the Lions go in to San Francisco and they win that game, that's another set of firsts. First time the Lions will have won 3 straight playoff games, and the first time ever the Lions will get to a Super Bowl. Epic season? You are damn right it's an epic season, and I can't wait to see what happens come Sunday. But Sunday is a long ways away, so let's enjoy the moment, and we'll keep talking about it throughout the rest of the week as we prepare for the 49ers come Sunday at 6:30 p.m. But until that time, I think I've done a pretty good job of talking about this episode, so I just want to say to everybody, thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. I also encourage y'all please to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and I had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It helps me out, and I'm thankful for every subscription that I can get my hands on. But also, after you subscribe, make sure you turn on that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure we turn on the notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. To also help in that endeavor, I also ask you all to please share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it everywhere and anywhere you can. Please, it helps me out, and I'm ever so thankful for every share that I can get, because the more we share it, the better the channel spreads, which means the better the channel grows and the better the channel does. And with that being said, I just want to say to everybody again, God bless. I hope y'all enjoyed the content, and if I gained your subscription, welcome to the MCM family. But until the next time, again, I just want to say God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see y'all in the next episode.